Welcome everybody to another week here on the Patterson Report podcast. I'm Brandon, that's Ryan, and it's back. We've been in this kind of doldrum stage of post Eagles, current Sixers, current Flyers. The Flyers fired Torts today. That just wasn't working out. Too many guys, he said he couldn't coach. A couple guys said they couldn't play for him. When you're building a team, you can't have a coach that young guys don't want to play for. So I thought Torts was an overall good coach on the ice. The off the ice stuff apparently just got to be too much for Danny and the boys to look past. So Flyers fired Torts this morning. That's kind of the big hockey news. And then the Phillies stole the show at 4:00 and did absolutely jack diddly squat for approximately 9 innings before the bats woke up.
Yeah, it took them a while. You could blame the shadows a little bit because the shadows did seem like they were affecting the players a tad bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Wheeler pitched great. Mackenzie Gore, he had some good stuff. 13 Ks. That's a problem you gotta work on. I think we'll get to that, but
yeah, you can cut, give half of those to the shadows maybe, because Wheeler also struck out 8. I mean, he's got devastating stuff, but it was a strikeout fest early on. I listened to it on the radio, so I didn't get to watch. But it was a strikeout fest for the early part of the game until the shadows lifted. Then the Phils started hitting. I thought overall, the Nationals aren't going to be that good this year. They have some young talent, but they never really got it together. Once Bryce kind of took the lid off, you started to feel pretty good. And we'll get to the lineup in a second, but few things are more consistent than when you need them, having Bryce and Kyle come through. It's just like they always feel like they're the adults in the room for the Phillies, where if everything else is going to shit, that you can just kind of look towards Bryce and Kyle and go, we need you guys. And they almost always do come through.
Yeah, and both home runs were on the first pitch of the at-bat, so they were aggressive, and it paid off.
Yeah, well, look, this team has no problem with aggressiveness. Now, if you're not named Bryce or Kyle, I would like you to dial back the aggressiveness just a tad.
That's a 50-50 statement for me because I want to see the bottom of the lineup get more aggressive because I didn't think they were like that. I mean, Castellanos was fine. He had a hit. It was all right. It's a normal day for Casty, but the 8 and 9 hitters in Bryson Stott and Brandon Marsh, I want to see them. I want to see them tone up a little bit. That at bat, that last one for Stott, where I thought the game was going to go sideways in the 9th inning, where he thought, the Nationals could squeeze it out in the bottom after the bases were loaded in the top. And, he battled 3-2 count and he swung at ball 4. And it wasn't like, a close ball 4. And I get you have to protect, but it wasn't all that close. I wanted to see him, do a little more today because he might have to start feeling the pressure soon because I don't know how soon Aiden Miller's going to be ready, but the spot for Aiden Miller screams second base at this point with what we've seen, over the course of the past, season, not even really counting today, but.
I think a lot of people, Aiden Miller was a shortstop by trade. You'd have to transition him to second, which you could do. Bryson Stott was a shortstop by trade and they moved him to second. But I think one day when Aiden Miller moves up to this team, it's going to be on the other side of the infield. He's going to take Bohm's spot or Turner's spot. Now, not bumping Turner out of the lineup, but bumping him somewhere else. But I think, look, today wasn't good. I do think Bryson Stott is due for a back year. The thing I like about him was the thing that got him in trouble today. I love that he sees a ton of pitches. I think when Bryson Stott is at his best and he's able to hit for average, I think he's the best leadoff hitter on this team because he sees a ton of pitches. Trey is lightning fast and has some pop, but he has a huge chase potential. Kyle Schwarber is unconventional, but you don't have any speed at the top. So I still think that the jury's out on Stott. I think he's going to get a lot of leash this year to prove what he can and can't be. He and Marsh both, I think, because they're both probably the guys that have the most tenuous grips on their spot right now. I think they're both going to get a very long leash to show what we have to do at the deadline.
Yeah, Trey didn't have that problem today in his 2 at-bats against Mackenzie Gore. He saw 14 pitches in his first 2 at-bats.
Yeah,
so,
he looked better today.
He looked better today, and that Leo spot looked more comfortable, but it's just tough because the needs that haunted us last year feel like they're going to come back and haunt us again. I know it's one game sample size. I know we can't go crazy, but
they didn't do much to dissuade the concerns that fans had when the bats came out absolutely 100% silent. Now, if you want to look on the positive side of things, I mean, Wheeler was sensational. To go, opening day to pitch 6, strike out 8. I mean, that's all you can ask for out of your opening day starter, because I get, spring training, they throw essentially simulated games and X amount of innings. But for the first real game that matters, for him to be able to get you into the 7th is pretty impressive, I thought. So Wheels looked great. I thought Max Kepler looked pretty good at the plate. Huge confidence booster for Bohm. Had a brutal day in the, not brutal day. He didn't have a great day in the field, but that three RBI, 2 RBI triple, big for his confidence. Bryce is locked in. Kyle's locked in. So I mean, there's some good things to pull out of today. But you're right. It's the same guys, and there's the same holes.
Mm-hmm. We haven't shouted out JT yet. That triple in the 10th inning. Got to shout that one out too. That was a big clutch hit. To really,
that was big after a rough day from JT. That was big.
to pad the victory, to make it kind of mostly in the bag at that point, because he can still score 2 runs with the extra runner rule. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
But it was a positive day from 1 through 7. Like I said, 8 and 9. We need to see more. Like you said, Zach Wheeler absolutely dominated today. That's expected, though. Like,
it is, but it's still nice to see because you never know with pitchers. I mean, he reminds me in a positive sense a little bit of Joel in the sense, and I say this because you just keep hoping his prime lasts one more year. Like, every year that we've fallen apart earlier, Zach Wheeler has gotten better and better and better. And eventually one day that cliff is coming. And for me, it was a relief to see opening day. Okay, it's not now. Like, he's still Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, I think we got a couple, more good years out of him. He's a pitcher, so age won't treat him that harshly as it would, a position player, someone in another sport. But hopefully he stays at an elevated level for a long time, because we might have to bank on this rotation a little more than we expected, because it is.
Yeah.
My concerns weren't lifted because it felt like home run or bust. And, after Schwarber and Harper hit theirs, I'm like, it's still home run or bust. And then the team started to hit a little bit, it felt good. But, man, against the lefty starter today, those right-handed bats have to be there, because Harper and Schwarber, it's tough to hit lefty-lefty. It's tough to hit that same side of the plate. I believe Harper did, though. Or were they both righties off of righties?
Neither one was off of Gore. So I'll have to look back and see who was.
Neither was off of Gore. I know Schwarber was off of righty. I got to check for Harper's. Or no, I think I'm reversing it. Because he pulled. That was the first lefty reliever pitch for Schwarber, and he came in and hit the home run. So it was a righty for Harper, a lefty for Schwarber, but still, it's still challenging to hit, same side. It's why the platoon advantages are so advantageous in today's game, and that's why you use them often. That's why we're using Rojas and Marsh last year, trying to get that advantage. But
I think this year you'll see Sosa kind of pitch it in the outfield and help out with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
But you're right. It is tough when, this team has shown you can win this way. They until that epic collapse at the end, they had the most wins in baseball for most of the season last year, playing the way that they're playing. The scary thing is, and we've seen it now play out twice, is you can't do it forever. Like, the thing that sustains are high average, good at bats, high OBP, not quite small ball, but hits. And the Phillies seem like we're going to run it back again this year, living and dying by the long ball and hoping and praying that we get hot in October rather than in June. And to your point, like I said, we were talking during the game. I'm probably a little bit more on the optimistic side of things. You're definitely a little bit more on the pessimistic side of things. But I will concede the point that we didn't look much different than last year.
Extra innings was a very positive. We didn't really talk much, after sixth, seventh inning. So, that invoked more positivity out of me. The Bohm hit, the Real Muto hit, the Casty hit. Like, these guys could still hit. It's just, you got to get on base. And I think Bohm needs to be that guy, Trey especially this year. Those two need to be those guys that get on base. Trey needs to steal a couple of bags with his speed because that's what we signed him for. His hitting and his speed. And, it took a step back last year, but was that age or was that injury? Don't really know, but
I think you're right on both counts. I think the guy who can make or break this season, it's really two people, in my opinion. It's whoever's going to hit three, because if our three hitter is somebody that pitchers don't want to face, then Bryce won't see so many pitches outside the zone. And I think there's really two guys that are kind of vying for that three spot. I'm projecting it's probably going to be Bohm and Real Muto, whoever's hotter at the time. But if either one of those guys can put together a really good season with pop, it's going to change everything for us because you won't be able to pitch around Bryce. Until you shore that up, Bryce is going to be superhuman. He's going to be Bryce Harper, but he's not going to see good pitches until you put somebody behind him that they're also afraid to pitch to.
No, that's why it was so big today, because they pitched around Harper in that extra innings. They walked him. They didn't really give him any pitches to hit. And then Bohm came up, had the huge hit, and now we're sitting with a W. So you're exactly right. The three hitter is the most important spot. It might be Bryce at some points because
it could be. I like him at 2 though, because I like his speed also. He's good on the base pad. He's aggressive.
I like his speed as well, but Rob likes to go righty righty. And if Schwarber, sneaks back into that leadoff spot, we're probably going to put Bryce back at 3 and, Trey at 2 and then Bohm at 4, like we rolled out last year. That didn't quite work, but it was nice to see out of Rob Thompson today, the lineup change. It was really nice to see, it actually materialized in the regular season. They tried a couple times in spring and, it took a while to gel, but in the end, it eventually worked out and it was pretty great. So.
Yeah, and look, this Phillies lineup is dangerous, I would say, through 6, probably. You're not thrilled about Pitt.
I'd say 7. Because Casty was the 7-hitter today. Casty could get hot and be dangerous at any point.
Yeah, that's true. Because I realized Kepler jumped ahead of him. I included Casty in that 6, and I actually had Kepler out until we saw more. I think there's 6 guys on the Phillies lineup that you're afraid to pitch to. That's probably a more accurate way to put that. Kepler has to prove it. Stott and Marsh still have to prove it. But if you're an opposing pitcher, you're not thrilled about Turner, Harper, Bohm, Schwarber, Real Muto, or Casty, which is still a great place to be able to go that deep. And then the rest of the lineup is kind of a crapshoot. It's whoever happens to be hot that day. But those 6 guys are the ones that we're going to have to ride for 162 games.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of bad once we eventually get to the postseason where, if you turn that lineup over to the bottom and Kepler's not hot and it's
going to be tough.
Stott and Marsh.
There's going to be blank innings is concerning.
Yeah, it's going to be very concerning. Maybe there's a move to be made at the trade deadline. The White Sox look good today. I just got to point that one out.
They beat the shit out of the Angels.
They had the Angels pitching a position player on day 1. That's terrible. Okay, I just had to get that one out there. That's crazy. But anyway, Lou Bob has been long rumored. We'll probably kick the tires on that mid-season because it'll probably come up again. But it would just be nice to get one more bat. We got one more arm. I'm interested to see how Luzardo does. Obviously, Ranger's on the IL, and Painter's going to be coming up. I'm going to try to go see him in one of his minor league starts at some point during this.
Where do they have him? Is he in AAA?
I think he's at Lehigh Valley. Yeah.
Ah, damn, because Reading's so much closer to me.
Yeah, he might be in Reading. He might jump Lehigh Valley. I don't know what's going on, but
a lot of times they do that AA to MLB jump.
Yeah, I gotta keep in tune. So we'll check on that. But we talked about the lineup. Yeah, you beat me to it. You beat me to the punch of the buttons. Shaky night from the pen. You're exactly right. We got to leave out Alvarado. Alvarado looked great in his 1 inning.
Alvarado looked awesome. I felt pretty comfortable with what we got from Strom. The 2 that make you nervous were Kerkering made me nervous. I mean, he got out of his jam and it didn't hurt us, but he made you nervous. And boy, Romano had a tough day one.
Look, I'll give Kirkering a pass for today because those two hits were just so weird.
Yeah.
Like they were blue pits that, the fielding might have been able to get there, maybe should have. It was difficult plays for both of them. But it wasn't like barreled hard contact where you're like, okay, this is a concern. He looked relatively good, and fluky hits happen, and that's what it kind of felt like with his innings. So I'll give him a pass. But Romano looked like the guy from last year that was injured and kind of lost, and I don't like that at all. So I'm kind of concerned there. But at the same time, maybe he's still shaking off the rust from last year. It wasn't a good year. It is day one, but it's not encouraging when our, big bullpen signing we let go of, Estevez, Hoffman, and Romano was brought in to, replace one of those guys, and it just wasn't great today.
No, it was a tough start. And it's, I kind of go back and forth on the fact that, he had a really good spring, but then I have to constantly remind myself that he's a reliever pitching in spring training. So by the time he's working his way through that lineup, there are very few MLB guys still at the plate. So, you got to take that with a grain of salt. But he didn't look comfortable at any point today. So I'm not so sure if it was, something about the first day back, new city. It didn't look. I don't know from watching. I wasn't concerned about the velocity, or he just never looked comfortable from the get go. So I'm hoping that's
maybe that first pitch threw him off because that was like middle low in the zone, and I'm just called it a ball. I mean, I don't know if you saw the pitch. I was
listening. I couldn't see anything verbally.
On MLB.com. Maybe I could pull it up here or something if you want to, but maybe it threw off his how pitchers get in like a rhythm and kind of a vibe, and might have just thrown it off because it was a clear strike. There was a lot of space between the bottom of the zone and where the ball was, and Tom McCarthy was like, "Did he just call that a ball?" and of course, Kruk was chimed in, but it was a bad call, and maybe that threw him off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that's the case because, like I said, we kind of did bank an awful lot on him being something close to a closer. I mean, we know how Rob and Caleb Coffin like to handle the bullpen. As long as they're here, I don't think the Phillies are ever going to have a true quote unquote closer. It's always going to be by some kind of committee. But there was an understanding that the same way last year, there wasn't a true closer, but it was kind of Hoffman. This year, it was supposed to be kind of Romano. And then after today, I think we talked about this in the offseason too. I mean, the question is, where do you use Alvarado to putting out fires or closing games? I think the guy I feel the most secure with when he comes into the game, and this has been over the last two seasons, even as good as Hoffman was last year, is Matt Strom. It's there's something where when they bring him in, my mind goes two places. We're either good, or if we're not, it happens so infrequently I don't care. So I don't know if maybe he becomes a candidate, but I think all these guys are going to have a longer leash. Everything that matters this year is in October. So you're going to give Romano a couple months, I think, to get straightened out back there. If he doesn't, you make a move. But I think, this whole season starts in October.
Yeah, I agree. But you can't, with the strength of the NL teams, you can't really pass it by. With the Braves and the Mets there, could easily bump you down a third wild card. The Dodgers are going to Dodger and make the playoffs.
But I think the East is going to have 3 playoff teams. I'd be pretty stunned if we didn't.
Pretty easily. I mean, the Mets didn't look that great today, so
no,
they're going to make the playoffs, though.
Yeah, I was looking at MLB TV today when I was at Planet Fitness. They had it up on the screen. If you look at the 5 favorites to unseat the Dodgers as World Series champions, 3 of the 5 are in the NL East. So not only is it 3 playoff teams, it's 3 of the 5 top title contenders all exist in the same division. It's going to be a bloodbath all year.
Yeah, it definitely is. I also have, I don't know if I could pull it up, but I also have the Romano pitch. Or
do you have a present function?
I do have a present function. So
you should be able to share screen.
I gotta get the tab up. Oh, that's what it is. All right.
All right. Looks like something
Yeah, I have.
popped up.
Okay, there it is.
All right. Let me add.
Yeah, look at that. That's where the pitch was.
There we go. And then we'll go
That's
picture in picture.
right.
Oh, wait, that's not better. That's
Oh.
worse. That's even worse.
Good, I gotta figure this out. It's
Hold on. We're getting there. Nope.
nope.
Motherfucker.
Moving on.
There we go.
I'm in the way
Now,
that
yeah, now Ryan,
stack us.
I can go to
There we
the
go.
left. There we go.
That works.
Live
That
radio,
was his,
folks.
I believe that was his first pitch of the inning, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
There was 3-0, 0 outs, nobody on.
Yeah, that could
He dropped it right in there.
Yeah, I mean that's a strike all day long. It's not even on the black or on
it's not. Yeah, that's what. Maybe it threw him off. I don't know what was going on, but you can't let a missed call get you off your game. But like, it's not like it's on the line where it's okay. You could be like, maybe they missed this one, or
Yeah. Again, you got to. I mean, you remember I was listening to the game, so I'm not getting all this information. I'm not loving 92.5 on the fastball out of our closer. That's not what you want.
I believe his velocity's gone down the past couple of years.
Yeah, but I mean that's Taiwan Walker velo.
Yeah, isn't he going to start for us right now because Ranger on the IL?
Yeah, he has to. He's going to start. What the hell is it? The second home game, because it's a 3-game series with the Nats. Come back, you'd have Sanchez going the home opener, thank God, and then Taiwan's the next day.
I don't think that's going to be a nice reaction from the crowd, if I'm being completely honest. So maybe he comes out and pitches well. I hope he does. I'm rooting for him. Always root for the player, but you never, it could be pretty rough. But that they're in DC right now. I just have to mention, I would pay a good amount of money for like a vlog style of Kruk and McCarthy walking around exploring DC. I'd pay for that. Like they were talking about that during
show.
They were talking about that during the broadcast. I'd pay good money to see that.
Same. If they had a Patreon or something that I could just follow their 100%. That's and Kruk just signed a 4-year deal to come back, so he'll be here for quite a while.
I love that we stole him from ESPN.
Because he's so much better here because he can just be himself.
He could talk about whatever he wants to. He was talking about like Cheetos, and my mother was like, "What is he talking about?"
It's just Kruk. It makes the game so much better. But I mean, it's a good. Speaking about the home opener, it's a good start to the season for the Phils because the Nats don't figure to be a threat. That should be one where you win that series pretty comfortably. Then you got to go. Then you got Colorado coming in, who's also not really supposed to be. It shouldn't be a problem for us. I'll put it that way. I don't want to look past any opponent, but that should be another. They should be able to reel off 2 series wins here pretty quickly and hopefully build momentum out of the gate.
Yeah, you have to win these games because every game is important coming down the end, especially in a close division that the Phillies are in. And you got to win these games against the Nationals and the Rockies that you have to. So if you go and drop 2 out of 3 of the Dodgers, you could afford to do that.
Yeah, you gotta. When it's going to be this tight, you have to win the easy ones because you're good. Like, to your point, I mean, within your division, you got to see the Mets over and over again. You got to see the Braves over and over again. Like, it's not going to be easy for whatever the reason. The Marlins give us a hard time, so you got to deal with them. Even though they're not a very good team, they just give us trouble. But yeah, you can't afford to waste these kind of gimme opportunities because if you look at the slate, like between the NL and the AL, it's as lopsided as I can remember. The AL is so bad and the NL is absolutely loaded. Like everybody who makes the playoffs in the NL is going to be close to a legit title contender, except for whoever wins the Central, because that's always mediocre at best.
Yeah, the Central is kind of decreased in quality, but you're definitely right. It feels like the Yankees in the AL, and
not that much else.
Not much after them. I mean, maybe the Rangers can be sneaky if they get a healthy DeGrom back. Like, and then the NL, you got
the Rays are good. They're just playing in a shit ballpark, but they got a good team down there.
Yeah, they got a good team. But in the NL, you have the Dodgers, you have the Padres, who are always around. You have the 3 NL East teams. That's basically, all the spots right there.
Yeah, that's 5 of your 6.
Six.
Yeah.
6, yeah. The NL Central winner gets the 6th.
Yeah, I mean, and you saw last year where the Brewers had the potential to be something, so they could be tricky. But yeah, I mean, you have 5 title contenders on the NL side that are going to just beat the shit out of each other all year, and you're set on the AL. It's
Orioles.
Yeah. I mean, can they take the next step? I mean, they lost some guys in the offseason, coming off of back-to-back first-round exits after all the hype. So, they're going to have to prove that they're a postseason contender. You don't know what Boston could be this year.
Yeah, there's a couple title contenders, but like you said,
Nothing
the NL
like
East feels like by far the strongest division out of all of them, just with the 3 title contenders.
Yeah, I mean, with the Yankees seem to be like the easy one coming out of the AL, but they barely have a starting rotation right now. So it depends on how and if those guys come back.
Did you see the home run post with Austin Wells today? We're so back.
It was the only stadium that it would have gone in.
We are so back.
Because if you hit a fly ball to right, it's out of Yankee Stadium. It's so dumb.
It's ridiculous, but that was a great first home run of the season. It's just to see the not home run in 29 stadiums. It's a unicorn. Yeah. I love that account.
Well, the announcer even was like, "Oh, pop fly to right." Oh,
it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah, yeah. That stadium's a kid stadium, and there's 2 minor league parks, and that's still a kiddie stadium. But I would go as far as to say, if look at what the Yankees could possibly be this year, I think every team in the NL East could beat them. I think all 5 NL teams that you and I just rattled off could all beat that Yankee team in a 7-game series.
Yeah, they didn't look that great last year, and that was with Soto, and now they don't have Soto, so
or Cole.
Yeah, or Cole. Yeah, I forgot about that one. That hurts.
That's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. But it feels like Philly's always in these loaded conferences, except for the basketball. And of course, they can't capitalize on that.
Yeah,
it's just the Celtics and Cavs, basically. But it feels like the NFC's loaded. The NL East is loaded. It feels like Philly's always falling into these things. But, as fun as it is to kick off the season with the Nationals and the Rockies, rattle a couple wins, maybe start to get hot. I want to see how this team performs against top competition. I'm so excited to see how they'll do.
Me too.
Especially in the bank.
I'm enjoying the ramp up, but you're right. The true test is going to be when some of the heavy hitters start coming to town. But
yep, and that will be in 1 week, actually. Dodgers come to town.
So we're gonna find out what this team's made of then.
And then they play the Braves. So we'll know. We'll know quick. Hey, maybe we should get a little more excited here, than we actually are. Because if they take that series against the Dodgers, the vibes in the bank are already gonna be immaculate, but they're gonna hit that another level like they were the past couple of years if they win that Dodgers series. So
yeah, because it'll be early enough to where everybody right now is still like, oh my God, this mega team, nobody can beat them, yada yada yada. And then if are they at home? They come to us, right?
Yep, we're home, and then we go away to the Braves.
But I'm talking about just the Dodgers series. If everyone's glazing the Dodgers, hyping them up how great they're going to be, if they come into the bank and the Phillies win that series, it's going to kind of have that new sheriff in town feel. And I think you're right. That's going to springboard this team into a ton of confidence.
Are we at a 6-man rotation right now, or is that going to be when Painter comes up? That's when Painter comes up eventually, right?
Yeah, we won't go to a 5 until I would assume probably early to midsummer, like late June, early July.
I'm just trying to see who the starters would be. Are we sure that Sanchez is starting the home opener?
That's the way the rotation falls.
I know they were talking about him as the 2, so
no, Luzardo's the 2.
Okay, so he did go with that. I just I got to get more in tune with the Phillies and.
No, you're good. Yeah, it's
Wheeler, I knew it was going to be a lefty.
Nola,
yeah,
Sanchez, Walker / Ranger.
Yeah, but that should position Wheeler to pitch in that Dodgers series as well.
Well,
No,
no, because he would be the last game of
last
the
game for the
Rockies.
Rockies. Yeah,
So the Dodgers would, but the Dodgers would have to go through Luzardo, Nola, Sanchez, which you feel pretty good about.
yeah.
I mean, you'd like to see Wheels, obviously, but those three would be an elite top three on any other roster.
And two of the Dodgers' best hitters are lefties, so that's nice. And
Yeah,
Ohtani and Freeman, but you still have to go through right-handed Tommy Edman, who's a legend. Apparently, he just went yard off a Scooble today, so
it's going to be tough. But I think
it's going to be so tough.
As much as you would, if you want Wheeler, you can't have him. I feel great about those three guys go.
I mean, the Phillies have one of the best staffs in the MLB, and the Tigers are actually challenging the Dodgers right now. So it's 5-4. So I mean, the Tigers aren't a bad team by any stretch of the matter. They looked good last year. They were so close to making a run. Actually,
yeah,
they were this close.
Scooble's a problem.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see who did something for the Torque. Yeah, Spencer Torkelson had a home run, and then there's a couple RBIs sprinkled there. But that's top of the ninth, 5-4 right now. So I like our odds against the Dodgers. They've been hyped up as this unbeatable beast, but there's a couple of teams that can take them down.
Philly loves an unbeatable beast. That's kind of become our specialty.
Really has.
So why not add another one to the list? But there's still March Madness going on, and I slacked a little bit in the round of 32. So I'm going to go pop on the Sweet 16 and see what's cooking with that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Hopefully your pick is still in it to those that are watching, because it's been rough.
Yeah, I was out on day one. Clemson shit the bed. So
I looked at the forecast. ESPN has a forecast button where you could forecast, what's your percentage chance to win this bracket contest? Mine's at 0.
Yeah, I think I looked. I was like 12 millionth nationally or some shit. Like it's ugly.
Yeah, I picked all the trendy upsets, and then none of them happened.
There's been no upsets. It's been a real dry March Madness, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's still better than most, but it's been one of the not best tournaments, memory wise.
Don't be wrong. It's the best tournament in sports. It's a national holiday every year, and this is a whole separate pod that I'm not going to start now. But I think NIL might have ended March Madness as we knew it.
We're not going to go off on a tangent. I'm just going to say I agree with you, and we'll end it there.
All right.
Because I agree. I saw what you're talking about, and I definitely agree, because who was it? Florida Atlantic that made the Final Four the past couple of years, or a couple of years back?
I don't think the Final. Yeah, they made a run.
I think it was Final Four.
I'll have to look.
But their top three scorers are top scorers on teams that were still in it in the round of 32. So
yeah. So
you might be right. Okay.
Teams are pulling, but
that's enough. That's enough.
Catch you later, everybody.
That.